Namaskaram. This is the Guru Shivastus Solomonicus. Thank you for tuning in. We are going to be sharing our irrationals today. I am going to be talking about my spiritual experiences in Washington State and with Chief Seattle. Some of you know that I am a Jnana and Shaktipat Guru. I consider myself part of the Lingayat tradition and the Aghori tradition. The Aghori smoke massive amounts of ganja and sleep and meditate in graveyards. They might be the most esoteric of Indian mystics. When I lived in Washington, one day I was kind of sleeping and meditating in the locker room at the Veterans Hospital where I was volunteering. A series of images started flashing before my eyes, culminating in one vision. I was looking at myself in a mirror, and I had a mask that I couldn't take off. Later, I would find out the reason I couldn't take it off was because that was my true face. The mask was Belakula, the northwestern Indian sun god. At the time, I didn't know who Belakula was. It was only later, when I saw the same mask elsewhere and asked about it, that I learned who it was. Of further interest, whenever I have had a legitimate tarot reading, my identity card always shows up as the Sun Emperor, including the time that Lon Milo Duquette did a reading for me. Later on, when I was living in Seattle, I made a pilgrimage to the grave of Chief Seattle. Chief Seattle was a very wise man, highly spiritually evolved. One of my ascended master teachers, Dr. Stylianos Ateshlis, taught me that the word Atl meant copper and was a reference to Atlantis. The city of Seattle was named after Chief Seattle as an homage to him. The chief was offended at this, explaining that names were very spiritual and they were the things after which they were named. From that moment forward, he insisted on being called Chief Bob. When I visited his island grave, I went deep into meditation. My soul reached out, seeking his presence, to determine if his consciousness had survived death. Not all sages remain conscious in the afterlife. I formed the question in my mind, is there anything you want me to tell the world, some message for humanity to change the world? The response that came forth almost immediately was this: why? This is exactly the world that people have created. This is the world that they deserve. Chief Seattle was the embodiment of transcendence and dispassion. In spite of his apparent aloofness, with my spirit sight, I could see where he stood every morning. The trees, which surrounded us and towered over us, mysteriously parted in one direction. I knew in my heart that every morning his spirit stood and watched the sun rise over the city that bore his name, a silent, invisible, spiritual guardian. This is the Guru Shivastus Solomonicus. Thank you for sharing your irrationals with me. Sadguru Nath Maharaj Ki Jai.